I have read your book, and I'm fascinated by not just what's in the book, but the time. I should even get a copy of it. So, oh yeah, yeah. I think send them to yeah. Let's bye. So your book, Uche, yeah, Uche should get a copy of it. Right. Yeah, get a copy of this book. More copies. Cool. So personally, I'm not a okay. So I'm not a big writer, and I try to read. That's what I say. Nowadays, audiobooks does the best. Just I'm so fascinated by the amount of time and concentration it takes to write a book. It's fascinating. Like that. When I'm reading it, it's a challenge to read a book, not a talk of writing a book. So I'm really fascinated. And when I read your book, it was really nice. I have some questions about your book, but I want us to be on action while because ask those questions. But before we start, I want to give you the mic for you to say anything else that you want to say before we get started with the show. Thank you very much. I think for me, first of all, I want to appreciate everyone who has stand up despite the tight schedules around. So there's joy that you call people at short notice and the media job and after one thing for media. There's not much to say on the side, but let the show begin. Hmm. Awesome. That's it. Uh, action, action, okay, action. Mr. KOK, you need no introduction. I plan to say that, when I was planning the whole script, but now you need introduction. You guys are supposed to laugh. Louder, please. All right. So when I was designing the script, I was hoping I would have just Nigerians in the room, but now I have Americans and the other uh, specs. I'll put it that way. So I will just introduce him real quick. And I will introduce him the best that I can, but I also let him introduce himself. So now we are live. Mr. KOK with me, Kanayo, is Mobiato, as a producer. I am recently following him on Instagram and all social media platforms on YouTube. He has his own movie production company, and he's done a great job. His pictures are great. His directing and delivery are great. I'm also more intrigued by his book and the life he has built for himself and his family. I have been watching his movie since who knows 1992 ish, because that was when I believe the Living in Bondage was released. Now, anyone in the room who doesn't know when that was released, should check it out. So the middle seat are for the VIPs. The middle seat over there are for the VIPs. If you're here, so the VIPs are still on the way. So we have seats over there. We have seats over there. Yeah. Thank you, and thanks for the cooperation. I appreciate. Wow, beautiful faces. Ooh. All right, I see. And gentlemen, you can be more gentlemanly if you give the ladies a seat to sit down. And you see, awesome, good. That's good, gentlemen. That's good. Awesome, awesome. Now, since the house is back, let's just go back to what we're saying. To me, he's a legend, and so many people I know he's a legend. And you need to kill Mr. Kanayo, big time actor. But now I want to give him the mic to introduce himself and share how he sees the world at the moment with the fame and the fortune and the accomplishments on his belt. Let him tell us, Mr. KOK. First of all, you welcome to my show, and I want you to introduce yourself. Thank you very much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel greatly honored to be here. Um, it's always a thing of joy to be invited to speak
share knowledge, to embrace wisdom, and impact on the people who have been watching you on television from the different countries of the world. Africa is not a lack of people like us, but because of our relationship, I come into the United States, you pick me up from the airport, and our journey starts. So I want to thank you for that. And once again, to thank those who are just coming to the room to say you're welcome. If anything interests you, it doesn't, nothing stops you from giving us a round of applause because that's what the show demands. There must be certain things of interest. Let's not have a drab moment. I was born as Anayo Modesti Sonyekwere. That's an O in my name, on 1st of March, 1962. I don't hide my age because I'm still fine looking for my age. I have no reason to change my name of that. And I don't work for government. I don't work for government, so I have no reason to um, change my date of birth to anything. I had my secondary school in Aba, then go at Imo State, then University of Lagos, where I read mass communication, uh, philosophy and the first degree. I went on to get a master's degree from the University of Lagos, then went on to read law, full degree at the University of Abuja. I was called to the Nigerian bar as a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in the year 2020. That's it. I mean, everything you want to know about me, please ask Google. Google will tell you whatever it is about me is not hidden. As I'm here, the Nigerian government knows I'm here. Who knows I'm here? And you know I'm here. So the story is complete. So I have put in about 1992. Yes, that's for home videos. Because distinguished my career from television through the home videos because we were all acting for the Nigerian Television Authority from 1980 and so on. Don't worry, some of you were not born, so don't worry. You don't have to worry about 1980. Maybe your parents haven't even met. But you see, the journey started a long time ago before the home videos came in 1992. Because when you talk about people like us, sometimes people think it is from 1992. No, from television before then. But then the fire came with the making of Living in Bondage in 1992. And the rest, like we say, is history of where we are today. Thank you very much for that quick bio, this exposing you. Now, let's go straight into my first question for tonight. And just for MYI, I will be asking the questions for 30 minutes, which I already used 10 minutes. And after that, if you have questions for him, the mic will pass to you to ask the question. So, yeah, right on it down. Looking at the original Living in Bondage in 1992, and the sequel that just came out about a few years ago, Living in Bondage. Breaking Free. Yeah, Breaking Free. I think it was directed by Ramsey Noah. Correct. What was it like for you? And when you were introduced back to the story, how were you able to perceive the story, and what difference do you find between the story of 1992 and the sequel that came out 2 years ago? Well, there's always this tendency for anybody who is a doctor to ask children to study medicine. There's also the tendency that if you're a lawyer, you want your son or daughter to be a lawyer. There's always that tendency. But people push their children to study what they're studying. So Living in Bondage, made in 1992, and Living in Bondage, made in 2018, 2019, Breaking Free, gave us the opportunity to x-ray the families of these people after 38 years. What became of the families they had? The tendency for a bad guy to have bad children. The tendency for a good guy, whether the children continue to be good. I don't know how many of us here, because we be asking the wrong questions if they didn't watch Living in Bondage 1992 and Living in Bondage Breaking Free in 2018, 2019. So I don't know how many people here watched it, but if you did, you would see that Andy's son, this is what he became. Entered into another occult and all this stuff, and then tried to get rich and all this stuff. I, as a father, I remained who I was. A father, I was the only person who could refuse to be born again. Yeah. So the tendency for people to seek higher power is always there. And this justifies what the society should always emulate, that somebody should have, is expected to have children who would better the society, not to make it worse. So the child and his child and the other person's child became something of seeking a higher power, that they even went to join a group in South Africa that's the central body for all the negative powers that rule the world. Whether you like it or not, no matter how much a Christian you are, there are powers. And what difference it made is that people still went on and the children carried on. And the tendency of people, living a lie is always there. The tendency of people making money from negative ways and trying to influence society will always be there. Like in the Breaking Free, I went on to contest for the governorship of the state. So that's exactly what we have as leadership in Nigeria today. People who make money from non-legal sources, plowing it back to legal sources to begin to rule society and dominate. So that's just the difference and the lessons.
Wow. Okay. That's right. Very well. What inspired you looking at your movie career and in acting for a couple of decades? You decided to start your own production company. What inspired you?
Well, I don't know how many people are here and who are listening online and so on. My TV name on YouTube is Kanayo TV. But that's a broader aspect of Simplicity Associate Productions. So if you're looking for me on YouTube, it's Kanayo TV. And I'll be happy if you can subscribe immediately, because that's the only way we can do business. Now, having been there for quite a while, one has been able to stamp a feet on believability. Believability is, like it sounds, the ability to do a thing and people in society who have been seeing you for a long time can believe in what you're doing. So my trying to own a channel is born out of the desire to do better works than other people are doing, to produce stories that have social relevance, to show people how to do it. Because there's this thing that's happening on YouTube, for instance. There's a channel established for everyone who hasn't got the wherewithal to produce to bigger platforms. It gives everybody the opportunity to produce a content in this small room and then put it on a channel. And when you get to the number of hours, the managers of the channel want to monetize it. So you can actually be in the comfort of your room and you're earning money in dollars. So I needed to teach the younger ones how to do better business. I needed to teach people how to create content that's working. Like, you see, it's being controlled, the platform, by the ages of 18 to 25 years. And you can understand the kind of decisions that an 18-year-old to 25 make. So sometimes all they preach is love, love, love. All right. But is life really about love, love, love? Are there not other ingredients that make up love? You know, unfortunately, the platform called YouTube has a lot of restrictions. So you can't show blood, you can't inflict harm, you can apply strong force. For me, as a filmmaker, I don't think it's realistic. You should be able to slap somebody and we see where the mark came. And so that's creativity. It has nothing to do with violence. Because when you watch a movie, for instance, and an arrow is shot and the slow motion of that arrow tears somebody's eye, it has a feel on you who's watching. And if you're a creative person, you would say they did that film very well. YouTube restricts you to doing this. And that's why, for me, it's killing creativity. It's putting creativity where it's not supposed to be. So there are a lot of other reasons why I established, but these are the main ones. To bring clarity, to bring believability, to bring competence, and so on. And to also, on the YouTube channel, for instance, many of us who are involved, they also rate us higher than the newer actors. Yes. So it's also an addition to the body of filmmaking that people like us do YouTube, do Amazon, do Netflix, do Showmax, and so on. These are different platforms. And that's what it is. So
I read your intestine. Beautiful, packaging and beautiful cover. Great. When I read the book, I found out it was more about the thriller and tree and everything. I would like you to share with my audience really what the book is about. And before you do that, I also want to ask you, the book really sounds like a movie to me. The question is, when you are done introducing your book, I want you to also tell the audience, are you planning to make a movie out of the book? Yes, is your answer. Is it going to go on Netflix?
oh, well, very simple. There's some gentleman who asked me to tell him all about my book. And I said, if I tell you all about the book, you will not buy. So you go ahead and read. So I'm just going to tell you, if you love legal thrillers, this is the John Grisham from Africa. The John Grisham from Africa is authored by myself, Kanayo, and Tony Ekwawa, who is a magistrate in Abuja, Nigeria. It's a story of suspense, it's a story of betrayal, it's a story of the intrigues that go on in especially families where there's a will. I don't know any of you who's listening to me who has seen the reading of a will and the politics behind it as well. But this is unputdownable. Chapter 1 leads you to chapter 2. Chapter 2 leads you to chapter 3. Chapter 3 leads you to 4, 5, and until you finish the book. So if you are cooking soup or rice, don't start the book because it will definitely burn on fire. I can assure you that if you're ready, you know. Because the story is somebody's leaving an office. He gets to the car park, his car is not there. What happened to his car? Now he starts looking for his car, and there's an assassin waiting for him. So it takes you from one angle of drama to the other. But be that as it's made, it's now on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. But also, to edit, I don't sell books in the United States. I sign books, and people appreciate what I do. Like, for instance, what gave rise to the writing of the Testator is just one little thing. We found out, Tony and I, that the reading culture in Africa is dying off. people don't really hear. If you remember, no, Alex, I don't know how old you are, and some of our members of the audience, but how we were brought up is like how people in the West behave. When you see somebody from the West, when they are at the bus station or train station, they are reading something while they are waiting for the train. The thing is that money making, fast money making is becoming the norm back in Africa, not just restricted to Nigeria. So people are not reading again, people want to make fast money. But then we know that the value of education cannot be undervalued. People need to have knowledge. People need to read. A reader is a leader. So this book was written out of the generosity to revive the reading culture in Nigeria, near Africa. And I would want any person who wants to gain knowledge of a legal trailer to go get the sector. That's all I will say about it.
So another question is it going on Netflix?
Oh yeah. Okay. Now I had proposed with Tony that in 2024 I was going to start writing the screenplay for it to be on Netflix. But the fact is this, money whole job, like people will say, whole job. We don't know what platform that's going to exist in the next 1 or 2 years. It may be bigger than Netflix. Yes, today Netflix is one of the biggest platforms. We have intentions of producing it for Netflix, either as a full drama or series, because sometimes it could be a series of 6 episodes or 12 episodes and so on. Well, this is also an opportunity for me in the United States to. I've been praying that I'll get a Netflix direct contact of. We should. They were in Nigeria, but also somewhere along the line there was a dislocation. I want to believe and pray that somebody who's listening to my voice will make some contacts by which we can bring up projects like this and other projects that are worth it. Without necessarily going through or climbing an aeroplane tree without bare hands just to be on Netflix. It's actually a very big task to get Netflix contacts and aggregators and so on. But I just pray. I have one project now. It's got about 26 episodes. It's going to be the best written world-class drama. But then, because the Netflix contact is the issues I've been having. It's not a problem, but I see it as a challenge. I wish someone can get a voice.
I see. Well, moving forward with my next question. How was your background as an actor influence you out with your legal cases? And before we go ahead with that question, would you mind sharing with my audience your I wouldn't call it an adventure, but I'll call it your a different process you've taken in life to becoming a lawyer. Can you share with my audience a little bit about that? And if at all it is the case, is there any way you being a lawyer and an actor kind of meet or have to do with each other? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, well, it's very obvious what a lawyer does, what an actor does. Different stages. Like Shakespeare said in What is the Stage, where every man has a role to play. The lawyer plays his role in the courtroom. The medical doctor plays his role in the operation room. The actor plays his role on television. They all are playing their part on the stage of life. So, between law and acting, one stands in the court to defend a matter. One uses his voice to send message and set an agenda. So what the lawyer does in the courtroom is what the actor does on the stage through television or radio. So my progression to being a lawyer, what it has taught me is to see legal angles to a business. The business of filmmaking from a legal perspective. It also engineered me to look at life more holistically. Like if a discussion is going on here now as a lawyer, I will wait for you at an angle to make a mistake. Could be a common mistake, be an honest mistake. But the fact is that my study of law has prepared me for greater responsibilities, for greater jobs, and so on. But it has also given me a bigger voice to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves, to answer for those who mourn, and speak for the oppressed, fight for human rights, and so on. That's what my background as a lawyer has given me. I mean, an actor sets an agenda. It could be about devastation of an area and what has caused it. For instance, when you in Nigeria, I don't know if you guys know what is called pure water, water in a sachet. All right, people have a tendency to drink and drum it or dump it on the road, and an accumulation of it blocks sewages and so on. So, if a flood happens and rainfall and precipitates into a flood, and now affects houses in a particular area, you could dramatize it on why a community was exterminated because of carelessness of leaving sachet water on the roads. So it's an agenda, and you have driven that message from a dramatic perspective that affects the whole society. So law and entertainment can marry each other in different perspectives on different areas, but they all stand to in defense of society, for entertainment, for information, for education. I mean, when cases are cited, you get educated from it. It could be a case that happened in 1861, be a case that happened in 1774, and so on. So you learn from it. And that's what it's also in drama. When you watch, you learn your lessons.
Okay, thank you. That's been a whole information right there. Now, looking at time, is there anyone in the audience who have a question concerning what he said? Anyone who has questions? All right, we have a gentleman over there with, can someone help with passing the mic? Please help passing the mic to him. You start with introducing yourself and you go ahead with your question.
Hello, my name is Philip from my son, and it's about to be we've actually shaped our lives back at Cameroon, and we're watching the movies right from childhood, and we've kept that here because each time we see the movie, the acting, it's been amazing, you know. But you said something today while you were saying that the youth of nowadays, the mentality of the big skin pep on. As someone asks you, which is going to be like an advice to the youth, what advice do you give to this generation, their intention of quickly getting money in any way possible? Because you mentioned that, the majority of the time that's what we the negative route. So in a generation that is growing now, and everything is like really just wants play B, like segment they usually make. So what advice are you going to give to us growing up to ensure that that doesn't become like something block, something we fall over, and then we're back trying to achieve something like
It's very, very simple, but not as simple as ABC. Hard work pays. There's dignity in labor. Every young man must learn, or should learn, that your bread is best buttered when you make some hard work out of it. Just like if you're a young man who depends on people dashing you money, dashing as in the case in Africa, whether you're talking from Cameroon or from Gambia or from Ghana, Senegal, Sierra Leone, and so on. We know what dashing money is. The young man who depends on people dashing you money, definitely you're not going to live for a long time. So our young men must try to create skills for themselves. What does education do for you? Education is supposed to remove the cobweb behind your eye. And then you're supposed to start creating. The problem is that many young people, when they leave school, only prepare themselves for white collar jobs. And that's dangerous. What happens to when you're in the university, you're already creating something? Even in Cameroon, how many young people will be proud enough while they're in secondary school to go and work in an eatery and earn? Teaches you financial management, teaches you hard work. But when there are people who believe that farming is dirty man's work, we have a problem. When you have a government that does not set up an enabling environment for the private sector to create jobs, it's a problem. So most of the employment problems we have is because, one, the young people don't prepare themselves. You're in the university, you're not preparing for any skill. I mean, guys, I'm going to be Africans here. How many of you here know how to plait hair? Some of our women here who came from Africa can't even plait hair. But it's a source of making money. How many of us as men here know how to even connect bulb in the house? Small electrical walls. Or you see the small, let me call them Oyibo, people in the West here, there are little things they do in their houses without anybody's support. Africa denied you of that. You didn't learn that from home. How many men here know how to cook? It's a problem. It's a problem. Why? Many of our parents didn't allow us to come into the kitchen. Is that the woman's education ends in the kitchen? Weak. W-E-E-K. Woman's education ends in the kitchen. So there are certain things we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Now you live in the United States, you must learn the new world order. And that's some kind of independence. Not all the independence. Most of us here, I can boil water to make tea. I don't know how to cook. So I'm part of the problem. Because our mothers said to us, if you know how to cook, that means your wife will not enjoy her marriage. So we came from a background where we are denying things and we are not correcting it. Those of us who now live here, there are certain things you're doing, you've thrown away all the African things and so on, and that's not good. So young people must and should understand there's dignity in labor, and that for those of you who are Christians, there's always a backlash of defrauding somebody and becoming rich. It doesn't last.
So I have a question for you. Having witnessed decades of Nigerian history, what is your perspective on the current state of the national unity?
Well, the questions I would avoid, but like Senator Dino Melayo was saying in Nigeria, to say the truth, to die. Don't say the truth, you also die. So why don't you say the truth and die? There are questions that sound political, but when I talk about national unity, I'll tell you the tripod on which Nigeria's lies, that tripod. There used to be a time where an Igbo man was welcomed very well in the northern part of Nigeria. There used to be a time where you could coexist freely in Lagos. Nobody wants to know where you're from as long as you're contributing. There used to be a time where you couldn't live anywhere and so on. In 1974-75, the then head of state, General Yakubu, established the National Youth Service Corps, NYSC. It was meant to engineer unity, respect for culture, oneness amongst those who have left university. So an Igbo man can go to Sokoto, do his service, okay, learn the language there, marry a girl who's from Sokoto, and then be happy. Exchange of culture. It's no longer the case. Now, of course, in war, before now, Red Cross people were never killed. Pregnant women were never killed. I mean, all these old people were not touched. Children, all those things have changed. So when you talk about national unity, I would say tell you it's this on paper. The real people who are the citizens are not happy because government has not helped in the matter of appointments. It's ruled by religious sentiments, ethnic sentiments, and so on. You come from a certain part of the country, you don't get appointed into a particular thing. You come from a particular part of the country, you have a particular religion, you cannot do this, you cannot do this. So there are two laws for different people. And somewhere, one law will make somebody go free who is from a particular part of the country. And then questions are now asked of how this nation. So people are more interested in giving what you call patriotism, patriotic to the extent that they worship the president, not the country. And this does not enhance national unity. So young people and so on are getting a wrong image of what should be a country's strength. If you're not from this country, part of the country, no. If you, just like one of the politicians will say, if you come into our party, your sins are forgiven. The country does not run like that. I mean, what have you set up financial crime agencies to do? Like what the CIA does and so on, FBI and so on. It should be no respecter of persons. It should look at the facts of the matter. And so in a case where people have lost interest in judiciary and so on, it's a clear case of kata. So the national unity you talk about, like I said, supposed to be a tribal, but then there's been a breakdown of that tribal. People are not really happy about what's going on in all sectors. And when people are not happy about their country, they cannot work for the development of that country. I rest my case on this. Fact is that the nation still survives, but the citizens are being taken for granted in terms of employment, in terms of freedom of speech, in terms of movement, and so on. And that's not good for the country.
You recently called out what Nigerians was next to the loss. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to develop strong culture?
Let me correct that impression. I didn't call out generous people for what they're doing, but I made a statement and it was a statement of fact. And that statement of fact is that a particular gender receives more favor. I mean, every rich man, wealthy, flourishing, prosperous, you can do what you want to do with your money. Yeah. I mean, it's your money. But then there is a message your actions may send. If the only people who receive help from you are of a particular gender, there's a message you send to a young man who just left the university, who is trying to establish a small business or get a job and you tell them, my friend, go and work hard. But to the other gender, you finance whatever they bring. I just spoke about it in the tendency that it has a way of ruining people and the goodwill. So it's been known all over our country that uh, most of our ladies use the latest phones, drive the latest cars, which if they worked in the industry for 100 years, they cannot buy it. So people have the tendency to start asking us, not be on the same industry with these people. That's the danger in it. So they think, so other men think we're not working hard. We think man, no, that's what I'm trying to say.
But that okay, that statement you made only when you lie.
Oh yeah, sure. Because it's an issue.
Why do you think it went viral?
It went viral because my name is Kanayo O. I do not fear any human being that stands. I speak my mind. Just like, I don't know whether you guys watched the video when my first son, I took his first salary and said to him, no pastor should wash your head as say this is first seed. Not be you train now. I pay the university fees. When he ends, brings to me, that's African culture. I take whatever it is and bless him. That's, we're not in America. We're in Africa, that's African culture. Such things go viral because people have such things in their mind. But who says it becomes a problem? I have the courage to say it. Because I had the courage to say this. And if I say it and you're a man, you don't want to contribute to whatever I'm doing, you don't even go to.
That's funny. Okay. As a cultural input that you are, what is your opinion on the impact of religion or traditional Nigerian families?
Very sad. Very sad. Religion did a lot of damage to Africa. I feel sad about this because our people, African brothers, embraced it hook, line, and sinker. And were told to relinquish your name. Your Igbo name is satanic. Why is it that every person in Africa has something following him from his father's compound? Why is it that those who are in America here, Americans, nothing follows them from their compound? It's an African thing. And it's part of the Jesus ministry because people have set up business in the name of Jesus. And that's unfortunate. Many people are religious, they are not spiritual. I'm spiritual, not religious. I don't follow, I'm a Christian, yes, but on what's Christian? Followers of Christ. Because I believe, but I'm a traditionalist. It's not all they tell you that you need to, there are questions you need to raise. There are interrogations you need to make about, ask questions about Christianity. The business that went on between the Catholic Church and the Anglican and so on as part of what the black people went through. You should research these things. But the kind of, just like here in America and so on, maybe, the kind of shouting they do during prayer in Africa is the same here. So the rhetorical question. People were saying, is it that the devils in Africa or the demons in Africa are hard hearing? They know the hear well, so you have to shout and make noise and so on. There's a problem. People are using Jesus as business, and that's what we're saying no. And the economic realities on ground are not helping Africans. Do you pray for get to the light? You go and work for it for a system. What do you work to get when you go to the hospital? Good medical attention. There's no in Jesus' name about it. But here, you get to hospital in Nigeria, in Ghana, the doctor, first of all, kneels down and does opening prayer for 30 minutes. It's not the kind of religion they practice here. They trust in the power and what God has made them. The medical doctors, the medical doctor is expertise. I didn't come to you. I don't like this. There's this place I went to for my physiotherapy because of some back pain. I come in at 9, they're still praying. They want me to join. I said, I'm not a member of this company. I'm not a member of your organization. I can't join the prayer. For what? I said, but doctor, attend to me, let me get out of here. That's not what I came here for. So we have so bastardized religion that we think everybody should be shouting Judge Jehovah Emmanuel with us. No. God is not hand hearing. Your God is what you make. You know, there are people who cannot pray for more than 1 minute. God hears your prayer. So why should somebody be praying for 10 years, praying for 1 hour, 2 hours? Submitting what question? Submitting what petitions? You know. So Africans must have a review. That those who brought this religion to us told us our Anayo is bad. It has to be bitter. For what? We have grown up. We must ask questions. Just like the questions that African presidents are asking at the United Nations General Assembly. Time has come for us to. We can't be coming to you every day to beg, AIDS, and so on. Africa is blessed. So most people ask questions, especially from those. And one of the worst things that happens in Africa is this. When a pastor speaks, his members see him as God. You do not even criticize him on the midst of Lucifer, even when he has done something. Even when he impregnates the parishioner. You don't even question for what? I'll question you. Are you God? So that's the kind of traditional things that happen that people like us say this is what religion has brought us. Religion is supposed to be man's way of finding God. All right? So Africans must have a review of their religious beliefs and so on. And know that teach your child that there is a force, like the philosophers in the early years couldn't identify and follow God. Said there was a higher force. They recognized a higher force. Okay? And they felt they didn't know the name to call it. Right? So it's good you teach your children that you didn't just happen. It didn't just fall from the sky. There's a process through which there's a 9-month period, and most of my son here looks like me. It couldn't have happened by accident. That's the force we're talking about. People in the recent age now call God. So that God that makes a man and a woman to have an intercourse and the pregnancy results and something that looks like me is born. It can only be God. But the fact is that men are not doing business in the name of God, and that's in Jesus' ministry. Relegating everything about our culture. And I say, no, our culture is beautiful. I read the sociology of law. I mean, if I read philosophy first, I want to read law. So there are a lot of studies carried out. Africa had a beautiful environment before its colonizers came. And what they have done over the years is to tell you how black you are. So black is a beautiful color. Whatever any other person has is another color and so on. Nobody must feel inferior. And that's why intellectually, when people see it, how do you judge them? By the content of what they have here, not by their color. And that's why some dark-looking guys have made the best in medicine, in law, all over the world. It's not a matter of color.
Wow. That's please a round of applause. It's sitting here for about an hour and decapsulating topics like this is it's something to really acknowledge. It's the conceptualization of your thought process is also a thing, and I really appreciate such. Do we have any question concerning what's being said so far? Any question? Any question? All right, you. Please go ahead, introduce yourself and ask a question.
question is, how does the roles you play in movies affect, your kids, maybe how they're growing in life, how do you see teenage eventually, do you think it harms them or do you think it's just normal?
All right, please give me a round of applause. Let's go to the round of okay. The good news is Montel is my second son. That's why I give me a round of applause. Yeah, he's raised up in the United States to see him because I saw him last September last year. So he's been a good boy. I walked into his office somewhere of town and they said, "Oh, your son is outstanding." And that's the story we should hear from all our sons. Now, my role, there's a difference between TV. TV is TV, reality is reality. I don't have any pot or juju pot under my bed. One thing I can tell you that. Yeah, and again, let me say this in pidgin. Person wey be police, person wey im papa na police, no know say im papa dey arrest people. Do you get that? Yeah. Person wey im papa na police, no know say im papa dey arrest people. Your children who are the last people to know how powerful you are, they only get to see people struggling to take picture with you. It don't concern them. So I work freely with them, but sometimes it gets to be a burden. Why it gets to be a burden is that you don't get to see them always. For those of us who don't carry ourselves as stars, we live of the lowest to the influence of humility, become something good for the family, and then you become a family man to my mind. I mean, sometimes before he came here, sometimes on location, we went out for 3 months. So he was doing work and I was studying law. Because I was coming to Lagos in the night. By the morning, I fly out. So I thank him and brothers and sisters and other siblings for tolerating me. But the fact still remains that it's always a thing of joy that you're doing a job for which society appreciates you. Not just society. My popularity and appreciation is more from outside Nigeria. The Nigerians appreciate me a lot. That's why one of my best dishes are ndole and ewu. So whenever I go to other communities, Zambia, Uganda, Senegal, and so on, they appreciate me. And this is the reason some of us have stayed back in the industry like appreciation. Because I could have gone into other aspects of business to make more money. So for me and my family, it's always a thing of joy for them to tolerate you and also believe in what you're doing. It pays off. How much more you walk into a country, the immigration, the person who's going to stand you and says, "Mr Kanayo, how you doing? Welcome to the United Kingdom. I watched you last night. How do you feel?" Oh, nice. That's it. We don't have any reason to refuse to be this or ask you to go back. So that's how impactful our journey has been. So for the family, it's a plus. Knowing that if you get there, who's your father? Kanayo? Oh, please, this way. Makes it easy. So that's the role we are playing. And that's what it is. As for the roles one plays, it has got nothing to do with what I am. I have slept in the coffin of 30 times, yet I'm healthier than many people. So being in the coffin, in fact, elongates my life. So the roles I play has nothing negative to do in my life. It enhances the character. I'm trying to explore and exploit the character. And that character is what you identify me with. It's not always that people will say, maybe, that some people will say,
We play true character, ritual, and so on. Please follow the storyline. From today, follow the storyline. We're trying to correct certain things that happen in Africa. If you annoy an American here, he puts a God. If you annoy an African, he goes to the Jew house. I mean, I raise my case. Okay. So, any other question in us? Okay, we have one more question.
All right. Pastor him, please, your name and go ahead with your question.
Hello, my name is Sue. From Cameroon, also like Kanayo O. My question is with, I guess, social media and the internet and everything, what advice would you give to, say, new parents or future upcoming parents? Because nowadays, kids, they're always online, they're always watching things. They have access to a lot of information, they also access to a lot of things that could, I would say, take them down the wrong path, like negatively impact them. And at least with us growing up, I went to boarding school in Cameroon. I didn't have any phones or anything, no internet or anything like that for like a long time. So it never affected me. But I see future kids who probably have to deal with that. And I want to know what your advice is to future parents.
Thank you, my Cameroon brother. Very quickly, some of us here, as long as we put our it, no wow. And that's what we put of us have. The internet is good, stuff like AI is good, social media is good. But for everything that sounds good, there's also a bad aspect of it. Some of us here don't know. Most of the cartoons our children watch is more violent than the movies you watch. Yeah. But you take it down, so you go better now. Have you seen a cartoon about Africa? No. So we must mind what we do. When we think we're giving our children some privileges, we're destroying them, their sight, and so on. Has any of you wondered what your children watch? Yeah. You just think them. It's a new world. It's America. In Africa, we still give a knock on the head to strengthen people. No, it's out of love. But here, you guys have restrictions of you can't do that by the law. Okay, good luck. But the fact is this: it is the smallest unit of the society is the family. If the family is disconnected, then disconnected families when they meet cannot build a better society. So we need to pay attention to what our children watch. Like for instance, there are families who decide, unless my daughter gets to this age, she won't get a phone. What's your home policy in your house? What's your home policy in your house? Maybe your son is 10, buying latest iPhone. Many African families, because of quick money, don't ask their children. Don't even tell their children, you can't have this now until you get to this age. We think it's freedom. We think we're giving them. Sometimes we're destroying them. It's good to embrace, like I'll tell everybody in Africa right now, please embrace AI. It's here, it's here. Just like the social media came, it's here, it's here. What aspect of the social media are you on? There are people, there's an aspect of the social media you get to. Morning tonight, you see naked women dancing. Okay, waste your data on it. There are also aspects of the social media that create content that you earn dollars from. That's the aspect of the social media I am. But we don't have to go to the same church. Choose your own ministry. I've chosen my own ministry. But the fact of the matter is, we will have people who will say of us, that man influenced me. What that man said influences or influenced who I am today. Can people say that of you? So please, watch out for your children. Don't give them all they require. And what I have learned as a lesson in my life is that many of the children who have gone on to become the most successful are the ones who trekked, who didn't have everything while they were growing up.
Any other question in the house? One more question tonight. All right. I see the beautiful lady. Please pass the mic to the beautiful lady. Your name and your question. Louder, please. Louder, please.
You get all that she said.
Okay.
You get all that she said. Yeah, reiterate the question.
So just to echo your question is for young people starting out, what is his advice looking at the world and how large and how much access people have right now? What is his advice to young people who are starting out in their own endeavor? Right?
All right. There's a saying, start small to be great. Start small to be great. If you're in the university and there's something you be just like, there are some ladies who are in the university, they sell hair, they sell cream, they sell things online. That's the starting of a mega thing that will happen later. So, but if you wait to finish school, it becomes a problem. Like, if your father is very rich and could afford to give you $1 million, but you have never been to a shopping mall to know how a mall operates, how goods are sold, how they are stocked, restocked, and so on. How to get the different customers. My brothers and sisters, that $1 million your father gave you to start a shop, you use it to do apprentices to learn the trade. So there's a need to start early. And that's why I enjoy anytime I come to the United States and I see young people, 15, 16, running around in the shops, Walmart and so on, selling to customers and eateries and so on, earning their little dollars. That is preparation for a bigger picture. That is money management of what you could, nobody, and that's the irony of growing up in Africa. The irony of growing up in Africa is they start teaching you what is the surname of the King of England. What is your business with that? They never teach you financial management in African schools. They never teach you. And that's why many people have failed. Because you cannot be earning and you don't know how to manage and know that your transport takes this takes that, and so on. And at a particular time, you cannot send people money. So for startups, it is good to start early. And starting early is make your mistakes, learn from it. And when you learn from it, you come out better. But when you're in the university, you don't engage in anything, you used to come out with a first class, you're going to be a first class who works for a man who made a pass.
Please a round of applause for that. Personally, what I got from that is start small.
To be great.
Like same podcast, It started small. I started pretty smaller than this. Back in the days, it was just me and an iPhone. I just remember that was during the COVID. Actually, I started my podcast shortly before the COVID, and when the COVID was there, I was just doing with my iPhone, and I was being motivation. But over time, the views started increasing. I started going professional with it, and I kind of feel like this is even a start. I'm currently in conversations to get Peter will be here next time. And I know that I am gonna take it even bigger than this. So when you started talking about starting small, you hit the nail. You hit the nail. And I truly believe that everyone in the audience right now listening to this can actually see the sense in this. That while you can tune into any other medium and all you get is entertainment to fuel your curiosity, sometimes it is imperative that you sit down and listen to discourse behind this. To steer something in you, steer something that just even getting you close proximity with someone who has done a lot and who's amongst many. Because I want to give you a little secret. When I was in Nigeria, there was this show called Big Brother Nigeria. Oh my goodness. I tried to sign up for that show. It was all sorts of pain. Couldn't make it in. I was among those who actually made it into the building, but I didn't make it through the audition. So when I looked at this millions of people trying to get into this narrow field, I asked myself, what are the chances? And then I looked at these successful people who have done it. I asked myself, how many people are running for these positions? These are the few people who actually succeeded. So when I have these people in my space, I feel the energy and I try to absorb it. And that's the reason why I'm doing this. I created this room so that you can be close to someone who's been successful in something that millions of people were trying to get into. They couldn't. To be an actor is not a joke. It's not. Oh my goodness. To get to the audition is everything big deal. So to become a successful podcaster is difficult. It's difficult to become a successful podcaster or to become a host for people to listen to you. It's difficult to have people in the audience. So I do not take this for granted. It's not easy as well to actually get Mr. KOK as well. Sacrifices were made, and I appreciate it. And I'm also grateful for the audience, for your time here. And I'm truly honored. My last question for tonight, to end this. And if you're in the audience, whatever we said tonight, I want you to take it as a grocery store approach. When you go to a store, you don't buy everything. You buy what will work for you. So buy what will work for you tonight. My last question is, in an era of rapid social media consumption, what do you think is the key to maintaining a successful and effective public image?
Simple language. Dress as you want to be addressed. Dress as you want to be addressed. As I said earlier, the social media offers you anything and everything. Social media has good sides, has ugly sides. Choose this day whom thou shalt worship. It's the name of the game. If you use social media to advantage, can you also use it to destroy what people are thinking about? It depends on what you want. AI has come, has a lot of things it's going to offer, and it's offering. Where it's going to go, likely cannot decide. But the fact of the matter is this: many platforms have opened up. People are earning. Many platforms have opened up. People are on it. Many people, I don't know whether you're aware, over 40 million people are on YouTube every night looking for what to watch. So if you key into the other content, and 2 million, 3 million people, some are depressed, some are homeless, some other jobs, and a message strikes them, and that's what they want to listen to at that moment. You get some money. So the era of being carefree, the era of people just criticizing for the sake of criticizing it, is gone. Embrace it for what you think it can create for you. For me, I think it's giving a lifeline to people like me who are in their 60s to mentor, empower, educate, inform people who have been seeing us for a long time doing the same business. So for me, it's a push to do greater things and earn money legitimately at my age. So I encourage everyone who is here, create content. We're all content creators. Everyone is a content creator. Depends on what content you create. So lastly, it has come just like the internet with us. I don't know anyone here who is not connected to any data or what. You use it. What advantage do you use it? So please watch what your children watch. It's very important. Be on the positive side of social media. When you're free to watch naked pictures to your own advantage or detriment. That's your own. No, nobody can regulate that. You know, there are people, as we talk now, selling plots of land that they don't own through the internet, through the social media. It's part of fraud. If you're caught, you do the time. That's just what it is. If you're caught, you do the time. So there are every statement I make in any country I speak, I say there are 3 C's: chances, choices, consequences. When God created us, He gave us chances. Out of those chances, you make choices. For every choice you make, there are consequences. Thank you.
Wow. What were for each show? I am grateful for this time we spent. And I also want to use this opportunity to let you know that Mr. KOK is over to sign his book as a gift to you. If you want a copy of his book, here's an opportunity to get a copy of his book. And he's, like I said, he doesn't sell his book in the US. He only accepts appreciation. So you take photographs with him and the book and get a signed copy of his book. Other than that, I also want to say we are grateful for Continent DC to give us a space for the events. And we want to say thank you so much, Continent DC, for this. The temperature is good, the light is good, everything is really comfortable and conducive. I really appreciate it. Say thank you to Continent DC. Another way we can actually show our appreciation to Continent DC is by patronizing them, getting a shot of something or getting food. They have really nice cuisine, great food, great location, to hang out. Can always come back with family and friends here to hang out and yeah, let's support the restaurant as well so they can keep the lights and everything running. And let's also support Mr. KOK by taking photographs with him and enjoying his book. Reading the book is actually important. Reading the book and getting inspired by his works. And with that, I want to say thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being part of the Alex Mason Show. And you all have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.